Women Who Own It podcast spotlights women business owners who are pioneers in their field, setting trends, blazing trails, and creating game-changing innovations. Brought to you by WeBank, the largest certifier of women-owned businesses in the U.S. and a leading advocate for women business owners and entrepreneurs. And me, Allison Maslin. I've been a business owner for the last 35 years. I'm the Wall Street Journal best-selling author of the book Scale or Fail. So join our bold community of women who built it, grew it, and own it. I'll see you on the show. Welcome to Women Who Own It podcast, brought to you by WeBank, the largest certifier of women-owned businesses. And it is brought to you by women business leaders for women business leaders. My name is Allison Maslin. I am your host. I am the CEO and founder of Pinnacle Global Network, where we mentor business owners around the world to grow and scale their business. And I am so over the moon excited today because talking about WeBank, we have the president and the CEO of WeBank here today. So I'm truly honored to introduce Pamela Prince-Eason. She's been the president and CEO of Women Business Enterprise National Council for the past 10 years, just celebrated their anniversary. And she was previously vice president of worldwide procurement for Pfizer Incorporated and has worked in leadership at Texas Instruments, GSC Systems, and Warner Lambert, as well as the co-owner of RMR Associates. Pamela is dedicated to women's business leadership, which shows in all of her professional and personal roles that advance women's excellence and opportunity. So welcome, Pamela, to your podcast.
Thank you, Allison. It is such an honor to be doing this with you. I am so excited. You are one of our tremendous WBE businesses. You do such a great job, and I'm so happy to be here to talk with you.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Well, you are such an incredible leader. And as the president of WeBank for 10 years, you've earned so much respect from your regional directors and all the WeBank network. What inspired you to take on this role to support women-owned businesses?
Oh, what a great question. I haven't been asked that one in a while. Like you said, yesterday was my 10-year anniversary. I still can't believe it. But I do clearly remember, as you were saying in my bio, I have worked for 3 amazing corporations. I learned so much about procurement, about accounting, about finance, about project management, and I just loved every day of my time in corporate America. I also was a co-owner, as you said, of a woman-owned business. And at the time, I didn't know it was a woman-owned business because that wasn't really terminology in those years, but would have been so thankful to have found an organization like WeBank, though we were quite successful with the business that we had. It was a consulting business. And so my skills from both of those parts of my career, along with the fact that at that very moment, after doing all of that, I had 3 daughters and I ended up with 6 granddaughters.
Oh my
God. It certainly makes you think about the future of women, right? And so because of that, I decided I wanted to search for something that would allow me to fulfill a mission that would support women. And luckily, Pfizer had me on the board of WeBank. I got to be treasurer of the organization, meet all the fabulous people in the network. And luckily, there was an opening for a president. And 10 years ago, I took it and I haven't turned back.
Oh my gosh, that's a great story. I did not know that. I mean, you really have the business side, the corporate side, and, having that connection with WeBank already. So you had all the perfect ingredients, especially being a mom as well. So many women look up to you in this organization.
Oh, thank you, Allison.
Yeah. So let's look back on your time in WeBank, these 10 years. I'd love for you to share what you feel have been the biggest changes for WeBank and women-owned businesses over the past decade that you've seen.
I would say that, quite honestly, the biggest change that I've seen is true corporate and government commitment to making opportunities available to our women-owned businesses. And the reason I say that that's such a big change is that 10 years ago, there was a misunderstanding that small business would have such difficulty serving large business, right? And what has happened over the period of time is that you find these wonderful women, minority, small businesses that can serve niches in corporate America or in the government space. And you have those proven business cases of that success, of more innovation, of impact on community. And because of that, there's this understanding that it is not bad to be a smaller business. And so I think that's the number one thing that's changed. I think most recently what has changed is the understanding that not all small businesses are the same, and that there are general barriers for a small business, but some of our women-owned businesses that may be women of color may have a different set of challenges or barriers, and we have to focus on those too. So I think those are the two really big things. If you wanted to know what I think needs to change the most, that has changed the least, I would say that's access to capital.
Yes, yes, that definitely needs to change, especially for women. I was at the national conference in Las Vegas a few years back, and that was my first time going to the bigger conference. I remember walking up and down the aisles and seeing these major corporations, Apple and Toyota and UPS and Starbucks, all there to support women-owned businesses. And I was almost in tears, like I had no idea. I mean, as you said, I think it's come a long way.
Yep.
The recognition for women-owned businesses and small businesses. So
absolutely. And it's great businesses like yours that are, putting those wonderful stories out there, as well as performing so well for others that it just makes it easier and easier.
Yeah, so good. So good. So WeBank has grown immensely over the years, and it's such an empowered community of leaders. What do you feel are the most important qualities of a good leader, Pamela? And which of these qualities have helped you lead this organization so successfully?
Well, I've gotten a lot of feedback in the last 10 years, and I think that collaboration is probably the thing that has always been the most important within the WeBank network, but also between any parties trying to work together. So, in the WeBank network, we do have 14 regional partners, and then we have my job and the national office. And we have tremendous collaboration in the national office, as well as a tremendous respect for the great work that is done on the ground by our 14 RPOs. That kind of collaboration and respect is probably the most important thing. The second, I think, most important thing is probably communication. It is the hardest thing to do in such a heavily matrixed model with so many stakeholders and so many funders and, levels of governance and all that kind of thing. But I would have to say that if I were trying to tell others about it, that second leadership trait is, if you communicate, it will get you through a lot.
Yeah. Wow. That's so powerful. I mean, yes, with so many, like a lot of times in a big organization, you've got so many chefs in the kitchen that it's hard to get anything forward. But I definitely can see that you empower these directors as leaders. So working together has really been successful.
Yeah, the one thing I am certain of is that the success of WeBank is because of this wonderful staff that we have at WeBank, just a tremendous team, and the organization that's out in our 14 regional partners.
Yeah. So when you look at WeBank, and there's some great success stories from the WBEs and the corporate members, are there any that just come to mind that you really hold close to your heart?
Boy, there would be quite a few, actually. Let me think. I could probably tell you the first thing that I probably loved the most, because as we talked about 10 years ago, the view of corporate America on smaller business was different than it is today. So I'm going to say that the first thing that I thought was really beneficial and really a success story was when the four large energy companies, being BP, Chevron, ExxonMobil, and Shell, came together and collaborated with WeBank in order to look across the supply chain and understand where there were gaps for women in the supply chain, and then have WeBank try to identify businesses that could qualify to get into this energy space. And not only did they ask us to find them, but they then funded a 4-year program to develop them so that they could understand all phases of the energy supply chain and could have the right skill set in order to talk to their solution with a business owner that they might meet in one of these businesses. So to me, that was kind of the first big success. And at this particular training that was week long, it was the same as people who work in the energy business go through. I was there with about 40 women-owned businesses, and we went through various scenarios of ways their business could be successful in oil and gas, and several of them got business right there at the event. So that truly was kind of my first big, I totally love this kind of experience. And I would say my latest experience with just being so thrilled at WBE's success is that a number of our women of distinction, who are women who have been in just about every role that we have in the WeBank Volunteer Network, the women who are in staffing came together and collaborated with Team WeBank, and we have created an all diverse solution that can work for corporations. And these businesses, who have at times been competitors, totally laid down their armor and said, I am not going to fight against my sister WBEs, and I'm going to work with our wonderful corporations like Manpower and Robert Half to bring solutions to corporate America that will solve many of the problems that have existed since the market changed so dramatically in 2020. So I would say that's been my latest great success to share with you.
Yeah, wow. There's so much there. First of all, that the corporate said, hey, we're going to take the time, we're going to find where the gaps are, and we're going to find the solutions to support these women-owned businesses. And then your theme of collaboration was really carried through in this last story that you told. That, because I truly believe that old idea. I mean, we all have a competitive spirit as business owners, but there's abundance out there and room for everybody to grow, and we can grow faster when we grow together.
You are so very correct. There is an abundance. And I think that old thought of there's only one pie and it's our slice of the pie, that's not true any longer. The world has changed tremendously on the value it places on small business. And so there is more for us. And I think collaborating and using our strengths together will make the difference.
Yes, 100%. Now, the last speaking engagement was actually that I did before, before the shutdowns. I was at your headquarters.
Yes, you were.
Last February. Of course, we didn't know what was coming down the pipe like 2 weeks later. And so how has WeBank pivoted during COVID? And what do you feel has been the most effective move that you've made as an organization during this challenging time?
Well, I will have to say that this is something that I am so proud of. I always talk about how great the WeBank staff is, but as you said, we were 2 weeks before delivering on one of our major events. So we basically ended up in a position where we had spent all of this money to put on this magnificent event, and then we couldn't deliver it, right? And so we had to drop back and we had to say, okay, we need to be there for our constituent base. And in particular, looking at our corporate members and looking at our WBEs. And we dug right in, and immediately within the next 4 weeks, flipped everything to virtual. We stayed within our same timing slots. We tried not to step on any other organization's activities. We tried to make sure that we did great communication, and we literally switched to ongoing interaction with our base. So for us, we weren't even familiar with Zoom at the time. We didn't know how we were going to do this, but we knew we had to make a difference. So the team came together, wonderful, great minds. And then I have to give credit to our funders. The corporate America really stood behind us. They said, "What do you need?" They told us what we could do to earn money. And they also, with their new needs because of COVID, came to us first and said, "Can you tell me what women you have in this line of business?" So we were able to not only pivot for WeBank and get in a strong position, but help our women-owned businesses pivot and be in a strong position. So that I think is the thing that we did best and well. And we looked at all of our women-owned businesses and realized we needed to segment and say, because of the industry people are in, some people are going to be in survival mode.
Yes.
Some people could be growing, and some people may thrive. Their business just may not be impacted the way everyone else is. And sure enough, that's what we ended up having. So all of the programming that we created met those three needs. There were things specific for those who were trying to survive, really a lot around cash flow. There were great things around growing, whether that's how to pitch to grow more successfully, or some other method. And then in the thriving group, we were just making sure that they knew how to keep collecting the money, keep marketing themselves, and that sort of thing. So I think that that's what we did and did very well. And we're continuing to do that in 2021.
Yeah, I do believe because you pivoted so fast, it demonstrated such leadership that everyone else was like, okay, we're going to do it too.
Yeah.
But to actually, I think you were like the first out there
We were.
doing a big virtual event like
Yeah.
that, probably like really crossing your fingers, it would all come together, and it did.
Yes.
So,
And I will say we were first by far, but I will tell you that a lot of that was just sheer timing, right? That
yes.
we were ready to go with this whole solution for a great week in Nashville, Tennessee. And then unfortunately, there was just no way to do it. And so, I guess they say that necessity is the mother of innovation
Yes.
or invention. And so that's what we did.
Yeah. And, so many of the WBEs, and there are many of them that we coach as well, they pivoted so quickly, and they have created new revenue streams.
Yes.
So that even on the other side of this, they're going to be in a much better position.
Yes.
So a lot of silver linings for sure. And what has been the response from the corporate community during this time in terms of continuing to invest in women-owned businesses as suppliers?
Yeah, by far no better time. You would think during a pandemic and with all the change that corporate America was going through, you would be very concerned about it. But I have to tell you, I've seen nothing but people continuing to, walk the talk. So before COVID, they said they were going to be supportive of small business, whether women, minority, veteran, NGLCC, whatever those things were, they were going to be supportive. And so we have continued to see that commitment. We've obviously seen, because of a lot of what's happened with systemic racial injustice and different things like that, we definitely see an increased support for our Black and brown women. But overall, for all women, more support than there's ever been. So I think that we can be very proud of corporate America.
Yeah, that is really good news. I think it's not always the news that you hear,
right,
out there. And I think that there's just a lot of people that don't really see what the corporations are doing for small business. I think more people out there need to be aware of that.
I agree.
Regarding the future of women-owned businesses, what do you feel are the biggest opportunities and obstacles to be aware of?
I would say I would focus it around cash, right? So I would say it would either be cash flow, having enough reserve to get you through something that could happen like a pandemic, enough excess cash to make investments in your growth. And I would also say that we need to figure out something so that as we grow our women owned businesses to be more and more successful, as they need to take on capital, we don't want them to lose the ability to be certified. So we've got to work out something so that there can be more of a passive investment that allows you to continue to grow and thrive, but still allows you to be certified. So I think that that's going to be a task WeBank's going to take on to really look at that. And then we're creating a financial center of excellence in partnership with four of the largest banks in America. And we will be doing a program. It's called Lift. It's about ensuring that you understand about finances, that you know how to interact in the financial arena, that you can access those funds and then thrive with everything that you know about that. We are going to be spending a lot of time ensuring that our women can go through this financial center of excellence and come into contact with cash, with grants, with education, with pitch coaching, with everything that's needed in order to be successful. And they can be doing that on like the role of the women-owned business is to go through that model and to get as strong as they can. And on the WeBank side, we need to look at how can we continue to support your growth and keep you certified.
Yeah. Wow. That's big news.
It is.
That is really exciting. And I love the fact that with the women that are taking on this investment, the opportunities for them to get certified as well. I think that's going to open up a whole other channel.
Yes.
For in fact, I know several that could get certified just, with that shift. That would be amazing.
Yes.
And then the access to the cash.
Mm-hmm.
Love all that. That's exciting. So what advice do you give women entrepreneurs who've got big dreams and goals for their important ventures, especially now as you look at where we are in the world moving forward?
So I would say it's a balanced approach, right? So use those big dreams to set your vision, to say, this is where I want to go, but then also do the hard work to lay out the plan to get there. It's easy to say, oh, I really want to do XYZ, whatever that is. And you can say, this is my vision. I'm going to do XYZ. But the hard work is in laying out the plan to get to that. And so you have got lots of great resources within the WeBank network, again, at the national level, as well as with all 14 RPOs. And so building that plan is something that we can help you with every day of the year. And so have the vision, have the big goals, but also do the hard work to get there.
Yeah, that is such great advice, because I love this statement that a vision without a plan is really just fantasy in your head.
Yep, you're right.
So you got to get it laid out. And I know WeBank offers so much support around this. And as we wrap up today, and this has just been so enlightening, Pamela, how will WeBank be continuing to support women-owned businesses? And do you have any final words of advice to
Sure.
leave?
Well, I told you the big news about our financial center of excellence. For all of you who know Laura Taylor, she's one of the senior vice presidents in my organization. She has taken on that challenge along with Andrew Gackle, our He's for She champion. And they are building this out with four of the large banks. And so we're super excited. When COVID hit, we realized we could provide information on things like a PPP loan. But had that not been there, we wouldn't have been able to get cash more expeditiously to our women-owned businesses that needed that. And so we decided we need to have a way to access capital for our women when that's needed. So that's probably the number one biggest different thing that we're doing. We're continuing with our We Thrive training that we started last year, that focuses on when you need to survive, grow, and thrive. And so that is just super great. Wells Fargo has funded us with a traction program program. That is that detailed planning that you said in order to get to that vision. And we've got just a plethora of other things. Our investment in partners who are helping us with women of color. There is so much in that space. And one of my 14 RPOs, those who may know Fela Meyer at WeBank South, Fela has gotten a grant from the MBDA to also focus very heavily on women of color. So across our network, we'll all be partnering in order to have really strong programming in that space. And again, additionally, funds available and to grow ourselves that way. So we think that the targeted and the focused ways at which we're trying to help our WBEs, that those will actually grow our network and continue to provide really great solutions for corporations, for our government, but also grow those women-owned businesses.
Yeah, WeBank is really a trailblazer when it comes to support for diversity-owned businesses. I mean, all across the board. And it's a beautiful thing and so needed, right? So
yes,
needed.
So needed, Allison, absolutely.
Yeah, well, this has been tremendous and such an honor for me, Pamela. So thank you. I know you're super, super busy. So thank you for taking the time. And we just love working with you on Women Who Own It podcast. We'll continue to be delivering that out to the WeBank network and beyond.
That sounds great, Allison. Thank you so much. You've done a wonderful job as always.
Thank you. And for those that are listening, if you enjoyed this episode today, please give us a review, subscribe, share this with your colleagues. And until next time, get out there and elevate yourself because you are worth it. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.